going on, Jerome's? We are back, entertainment purposes only. Week 14 NFL picks. Now, we missed Week 13, ironically, because we were in Gary, Indiana. But we are 81, and 8 on the season. We are dead even, which I guess is a win in of itself. It's really tough to do anything when you're picking against the spread. Plus, we started out really, really bad. But you need that magical 52.4% to beat the a $1.10. So we'll try to do our best and come back towards the end of the year. But again, picking the entire card, very dumb. That's muy stupido. But here we go. Again, entertainment purposes only. Starting with the noon games, Tampa Bay, 2.5-point dogs on the road in Atlanta. I just feel like the Falcons get it done in the spot where they're so tough to gauge, right? And whoever wins the NFC South is whatever. They're going to get boat race in the first round anyway. But Buccaneers have had their issues. Chris Godwin's wife is already in fight. He's like, oh, how come he doesn't get the ball? Well, he doesn't get open. But with the Falcons, I'm just hoping that Arthur Smith will just put his ego aside and just get the ball to his frickin' playmakers, but who knows? But I do think Atlanta wins in this spot. I think it's like a 20-17 type game. Whatever. Next up, you have the Lions on the road against Chicago. Now, you remember, the Bears a couple weeks ago blew it. They had they have a 12-point lead with 4 minutes to go, and they lost by 5. Something ridiculous like that. But, I mean, the Bears, as us Vikings fans have seen, the Bears are starting to get things together. I think Justin Fields, if he can screen past his way to a win, we'll see. And Detroit, Detroit is still stinging a little bit because of what happened to them on Thanksgiving. But also, I feel like, I just feel like in division, it's always a little bit tough. It's always a little bit close. It is on the road in Chicago, and I feel like the Bears are starting to get a little bit of momentum. Now, I'm not saying that the Bears win outright, but I'm going to take the 3.5. So you're getting the hook, and could this end up being a field goal game? Sure, certainly. Next up, you got the Colts, Gardner Minshew and company in the playoff places. Let's go. But without Jonathan Taylor-Thomas, but that's fine because they got Zach Moss on the road at Cincy. Now, the Bengals are coming off that big-time emotional win against the Jaguars, and I feel like there's too much momentum with the Bengals. I feel like all the good vibes are there. The whole Jake Browning, hey, he's the second coming. No. I do like Indianapolis in this spot with the points. I actually like Indy outright as well because I don't think it's too much of a downgrade from Jonathan Taylor-Thomas to Zach Moss. And also, I feel like Indianapolis is starting to get a little bit of mojo going with Minshew. Had a nice overtime win against Tennessee last week, so we'll go from there. Next up, Jacksonville Jaguars plus 2.5 at the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence and high ankle sprain is allegedly a game-time decision. I don't buy it. C.J. Beathard is also dinged up, but the Browns, jumping Joe Flacco, getting things done, but that defense is legit. Weather could be a factor in this game. Give me the Browns fading the 2.5. Next up, you got the Carolina Panthers. They try hard. They do try hard. They're just talent bereft right now. There's infighting. There's all this rumor and innuendo with the coaching staff and like David Tepper. It's a mess right now. And the Saints, Derek Carr did clear concussion protocol. He's going to start. I firmly believe that the Saints would have a better shot if they started Jameis, but but in this spot, I feel like this is going to be a low-scoring game. Could this end up being like an 18-15 type game? Sure. But give me Carolina plus a 6.5. Next up, you have the Texans on the road. C.J. Stroud should be a legit MVP candidate. Also, it sucks that they lost Tank Dell. Why is Tank Dell inside blocking on a goal line dive anyway? The Jets are a mess. They're going back to Zach Wilson. I do think that the Texans defense is able to get a little something going. This is the battle of Sauce Gardner versus Derek Stingley. Yeah, the battle of the high-end young cornerback. So that's great to see. But I do think that Houston goes on the road. I think they end up winning, like a 24-10 type game. I just don't think that the Jets, even with Wilson, I just don't think they get things done. Next up, you got the Rams at the Ravens. Now, not me on the last week of fantasy football, benching Cooper Kupp because he's been ass lately, as well as he's playing the Ravens, and it's going to be a monsoon. It's going to be weather's going to be an issue in Baltimore, but I do think that the Ravens do get this thing done. I think they get it done on the ground. I think they just Gus Bus and Lamar Jackson and ground and pound this game away. I do think that the Ravens do cover the 7 in this spot. You're going to find it 7.5 in a lot of spots as well, so maybe paying a little bit of extra just to get it down to 7 versus the hook does make some sense. But the Rams are starting to get healthy. Yes, but I think Baltimore right now is a juggernaut, as well as don't discount the west to east travel for the Rams. The late games, the Vikings on the road against the Raiders. I think the Vikings finally do get this done. Like, I could see them starching the Raiders. I could see this being like a 24-9 type game. Yeah, I think they get off the schneid, get to 7-6 on the season. Next up, Seattle against San Francisco. Now, Geno's banged up, man. And Geno is listed as questionable for the game. We'll see. Either it's going to be him banged up or it's going to be Drew Lock. And the Seahawks are fighting for their playoff lives. Had a very near-run thing against the Cowboys. And then also they play the Eagles next week. So, this is a must-win. But San Francisco, I think right now the two best teams in the league are the Niners and the Ravens. So I do think that even though this is a big number, I do think that San Francisco beats Seattle like a 30-13 type game. Next up, you got Buffalo visiting Kansas City. Now, Kansas City, first off, they have no receivers. Second of all, Travis Kelce is clearly taking a step back, and also no Pacheco this game. So, hey, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Yeah, first-round running back. Yeah, he's starting. Cool. And the Bills, they definitely do have the chip on their shoulder. They do have an outside chance for the playoffs, but I don't know. Like, the Chiefs and the Bills matchups has been great in the playoffs. They changed the overtime rules for the Bills, but Buffalo's got some weird things going on, man. The whole Sean McDermott 9/11 reference. Why is that coming out? That was a 2019 conversation. Obviously, leaks are starting to show in the ship, and I think the ship is going to sink. I do think that Mahomes and company bounce back. I think that they win like a 22-20 type game. Go ahead. Last of the late games, you got the Broncos on the road against the Los Angeles Superchargers. Not the same. Now, everyone, your mom, they want you to go with the Broncos, but the Broncos low-key have had a couple of issues as of late, especially with Russell Wilson. And the Chargers, the Chargers are a mess, but I think they do get the win in division. I think they win by a field goal, so fade in the 2.5. Sunday Night Football is going to be a good one. The Eagles, who got a little bit exposed by the Niners last week against the Dallas, who also got exposed by the Niners earlier in the season. You know who didn't lose to the Niners? The Vikings. No big deal. But Dallas in the spot. Dallas is playing some good football, and they certainly have to be pissed off by how they sort of got robbed in Philly a couple weeks ago. So I think Dallas puts the bank thing on Philadelphia. I think Dallas wins by maybe even 3 touchdowns. Even though Philly got embarrassed, I think Dallas has got something for them, and I think that under the bright lights, I think that the Cowboys do make a statement. First of the 2 Monday Night Football games, because why not have 2? So Tennessee at Miami. This is going to be a bloodbath. Like, the Dolphins are finally starting to get their ish together. Also, noteworthy that the Dolphins beat the living bejesus out of bad teams, but they can't hang with good teams. And the Tennessee Titans are a very bad football team right now. So, again, it's a big number to cover, but like the San Francisco game, we're going to do it with Miami. Last of the Monday night games. So Jordan Love, who's the cat's ass now, apparently, on the road against the New York Football Giants, and it's tough. Like, I want to trust Tommy Cutlets. I want to say that off the bye, Dable gets something going. I want to say that Saquon gets a little something going against his front 7. But 7's a lot. Again, this is why you don't bet the whole card. But give me the Giants plus the 7. Maybe the Packers slip up in prime time on the road, which you would love to see. But that's it. That's Week 14 NFL picks. Again, entertainment purposes only. Sure to go wrong. Let us know your thoughts on our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.